So they did this thing where they carried around a big prop pipeline. You might remember these images. Here it was in front of the White House. See the big pipeline, the big black pipeline? Here it was in New York City. For years, you'll remember this movement. It was a big, well-organized, aggressively creative campaign to protest Keystone, the expansion of the Keystone Pipeline, which funneled tar sands oil out of Canada and across the United States. Keystone's the most famous pipeline on the continent, specifically because of the movement to stop it. And the activists' argument against particularly the Keystone XL pipeline expansion was twofold. And they said, first, at this point in the climate crisis, we should be leaving tar sands oil in the ground, not building new funnels to help bring that stuff to market and burn it. But it was also a full-throated argument about how pipelines are not great at what they're supposed to do. Anti-Keystone activists raised the alarm about how for all the money in the oil industry, even brand new modern oil pipelines like to leak. So first of all, keep the oil in the ground. And if you don't do that and you put the oil in the pipeline, prepare for disastrous oil spills. That was the argument from the anti-Keystone activists. Well, what do you know? Last week, the Keystone Pipeline sprung a leak in Kansas the size of an Olympic swimming pool. Close to 600,000 gallons of oil dumped out of the pipeline and into a nearby creek and into some rural pasture land. It was the biggest oil spill on land in the United States in more than 9 years. And this is not the first time the Keystone Pipeline has ruptured, not by a long shot, including the spill from this past few days. This one pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline, has sprung a leak 23 times in the last 12 years. And the leaks are getting bigger as they go. More oil burst out of the pipeline in Kansas this past week than in all the previous 22 spills combined. Keystone has now officially soaked the United States in more spilled oil than any other pipeline in the last decade. Since it first got up and running in 2010, the Keystone Pipeline has spilled so much oil that if you scooped up all of it and put it all in 1-gallon milk jugs, that line of milk jugs would stretch all the way from New York City to Philadelphia and beyond. The company that runs the pipeline says with this new spill in Kansas, they say they're totally sure there's no threat to drinking water at all. It's all going to be fine. They say they've put out all the state-of-the-art technologies to stop the spill from spreading further downstream and maybe even someday clean it up. To be clear, the state-of-the-art when it comes to cleaning up oil spills is pretty much what you might invent if you were a particularly unimaginative second grader thinking about things like this. Cleaning up oil spills still looks like it did in the 60s. It's like sections of boom and big paper towel thingies and sometimes vacuum trucks to try to slurp it up and dump it somewhere else. Lobbying for oil drilling and for things like pipelines that spew oil all over Kansas. That's actually the state of the art in the oil industry. That's like their Ferrari. Cleaning up their spills, that technology is still very much their Model T Ford. It's not like their priority for research and development is figuring out how to clean up when they spill. The company that operates Keystone says they still don't know what caused this latest, biggest spill. They say it was all a big surprise to them. Wasn't a surprise to everyone, though.